if you could merge Coda and Zapier together and make the Coda packs, which are these integrations that sync data with other products two-way and are live, I think that would probably be one of the most powerful no-code tools out there.
NoCodeList. Greetings, Net Denizens. This is Cody Blair with NoCodeList.co, where we bring you the latest and greatest news from the experts in no-code land and no-code tools to help you up your no-code game. Today, we are really fortunate to have with us Brian Shultz, who is the co-founder of Tango.us. Brian, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. So, Brian, I would like you to just give us a 30-second spiel, your best on what is Tango.us. Why should somebody go there?
I can make it even faster. Tango is an amazing tool that helps teams save up to 90% of their time creating documentation. Our first product automatically generates beautiful how-to guides with screenshots as you work, kind of like magic.
Very good. Love it. So tell me a little bit now, I understand Tango.us is not strictly no code, but it is going to really help anybody who's doing no code, I'm sure. So how did you kind of start playing with no code in the first place?
I would say that my journey into no code has been kind of almost a decade. I think I've always been fascinated with automation, just like being able to do or to get more things done in less time has felt like just such a compounding advantage in life. And so kind of like maybe even 10 years ago, I was playing around with like Alexa and if this, then that, automating my lights in my dorm room. But I would say kind of like my defining moment really started with like harnessing the power of Google Sheets. That's something that I think people don't really realize just how powerful Google Sheets can be.
For sure.
And so some of the things that would previously take like 30 minutes to a few hours would all of a sudden take like a few minutes to like sometimes even 30 seconds. Specifically data scraping. I found that Google Sheets is like the fastest way to spin up any type of data scraping job on the web.
Nice.
And it was just like one of these like light bulb moments of like, holy crap. Like imagine all the things that I can prototype really quickly instead of having to build like a custom script that would take like almost an hour. I could just do it instantaneously using spreadsheet logic, which is like the language of business.
Very nice. Very nice. So you mentioned if this, then that. Nowadays, if this, then that, or Zapier, which is your preference?
Oh yeah, Zapier all day. I haven't used if this and that like maybe since trying to play around in my dorm room, but Zapier is definitely.
I'm with you. I'm not sure what happened there, but I started out with if this, then that way back when, and just ended up switching over to Zapier because I think it had more hooks available. So, hey guys, just remember, if you like this video, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. When you do that, it means that every time we put out a new video, you'll be the first to know. So Brian, back to you a little bit. I want to make sure you're a human being and not an AI. So I'm going to give you a little Turing test here. Okay. I want to figure out, I want to hear from you. What is some time in your life that you just had an epic fail? Doesn't necessarily have to have anything at all to do with Tango or no code or anything like that, but just I want to hear that you're human.
Totally. I am very much human. This one's actually quite fresh. It happened maybe 2 months ago. But I totally accidentally took down the Tango website for about 45 minutes over a weekend. Yeah. And it was like the most bizarre thing ever. Like technically I set it into motion 6 weeks prior. So kind of like the backstory was that we had just purchased a new domain for an upcoming blog. And we were required to verify like our registration email that was also connected to our primary domain.
Yeah.
And it's a Google Groups email address. And I had just before that accidentally misconfigured it to only accept internal emails from that address, which is something that happens all the time. The Google Groups configurations are so confusing. That's why there's Tango, honestly, just so like we now follow our own Tangos to make sure that we're doing it right.
Right.
But for 6 weeks, they were sending like verification requests that were bouncing because no emails could go to this address. And
oh no.
And all of a sudden, after 6 weeks, the domain went to being unverified. It wiped our DNS records and everything related to Tango stopped working. So all of our services, all of our emails, but luckily it was during like one of the lowest traffic days of the year on a Saturday. And I was at my, and I was at my computer when it happened. And the only way to verify ownership was the other contact method, which was our Google Voice number that's connected to our business. And it was actually my co-founder, Ken, who has access to that Google Voice. And when I realized it, I realized he was on his way to the airport for a 5-hour flight across the country. And so I was super stressed out, but after 5 phone calls to him and his wife, like always, he did come through and everything went back to normal. But yeah, that was really stressful.
All right. The day Brian Shultz busted the internet. Way to go. Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about, guilty pleasures. What's a guilty pleasure of yours?
Yeah. I have lots, but probably the most interesting that we can talk about is probably treasure hunting. So my partner, Emily, and I were
like real treasure hunting.
Yeah. Real treasure hunting, like hunting for a $5 million treasure buried in the Rocky Mountains.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anyone who listens to this podcast has heard of Forrest Fenn's treasure, but it was a guy who decided in his 80s that he wanted to leave a treasure for folks to go out and search, explore the Rocky Mountains. And he wrote this poem, kind of like a map to find the treasure. And Emily, my partner, and I, we geeked out on that for on and off, like every other weekend for like 2 years. And we actually made it up to the Rocky Mountains twice to search for it. Unfortunately, no luck there. And eventually it was found in Wyoming, at least close to where we were searching. We don't know the exact location, but yeah.
That's really fun. That's a good way to keep busy right there and keep your brain cells going and get you some exercise in the outdoors too.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to no code. So, a lot of the viewers, listeners to this series are going to be trying all sorts of no code tools all the time. Tell us about some of your favorites. What are your go-tos?
Yeah. So I would say, if you ask me this question, like each year for the last 5 years, I think my answer would be different every time. Right. But kind of as I've learned over the years, I think my strongest recommendations today would be Coda and Zapier. So Zapier for stitching together apps and triggering workflows, and then Coda for database and application logic. And with those two, you can pretty much build almost anything. And I've totally built a ton of things using those two products.
Nice. And think back to a couple of years ago, what were the big things for you back then?
Yeah. So I would say Google Sheets and Zapier as a combination were probably the strongest. Google Sheets actually has this component called Google App Script. So this is venturing away from no code and going into a little bit of low code, but you can basically perform any type of logic on top of your spreadsheets with Google App Script. And so using those two together was actually really quite powerful.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. If you could just snap your fingers and have the perfect no code tool, what have you been dreaming of? What do you wish somebody would make?
Really good question. I think I wish I could provide a little bit more variety, but I would say if you could merge Coda and Zapier together and make the Coda packs, which are these integrations that sync data with other products two-way and are live, I think that would probably be one of the most powerful no-code tools out there.
All right. Anybody out there listening, this is your opportunity. Just gave you a free, fantastic idea to start working on there. All right, Brian, any other no code app solutions that you really wish you had?
Yeah. So the thing that I really like about no code is that you can work on projects and really quickly build things that you otherwise wouldn't invest the time that it would take to build a traditional application. So one of the ones that I built, which was super hacky and just works, but I want to refine a little bit, was actually what we call a Stripe subscription meme meter. So when we first launch our first set of paid products, every time a new subscriber subscribed to Tango, we had this dictionary of memes and like fun descriptions for each milestone that we hit.
Right.
So like 1 through 100, we had a new meme. Now we have like every 100th user to subscribe, we have a new meme. And that was something that was just like really fun, especially in a remote context, to bring our team together and kind of mimic being like all together for this like big event. So everyone contributed. We were kind of building the bridge as we were crossing it. So folks were adding new memes as we were hitting new milestones. So
nice.
That was super fun. Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. We have a lot of those like social no code apps that we built together, just because they're like really quick to do. And the ROI with team morale and fun is always worth it.
Nice. Very nice. So back to Coda and Zapier and Google Sheets. What are some things that you have done with those? You talked about data scraping. Is there anything else that you're using those for on a regular basis?
Yeah. So I would say that right now we use Coda and Zapier to build a lot of our customer feedback workflows. So one of the things about having all these different ways to contact Tango via, it's either like the intercom chat, we have these product release notes, we have these in-app surveys, is that we're getting feedback from a lot of different places. And so there are apps out there that allow you to integrate with a variety of tools, but based off the tools that we're using and the flexibility that we want, it's been really hard to kind of organize all of that without having someone proactively manage a gigantic spreadsheet. And so one of the things that we built that has been really helpful for us is a customer feedback dashboard that pulls in feedback using Zapier from every single one of our sources that we talk to customers. So on Intercom, if we tag a message as a feature request, we have a Zapier workflow that'll pull it into Coda. If someone emails us and we forward it to a specific email for feedback, we'll pull it in via Zapier into Coda, and that really helps us manage our feature backlog. And that's actually been unbelievably helpful for prioritizing what we build.
It sounds like it. And this is like, this is the software version of Makerspace, right? Now everybody can just build their own tool so quickly. It's almost like you don't need these pre-made things. So.
Totally. Yeah. And the one thing I really love about Coda, and it's a trend that I'm starting to see, is they introduce this concept of Coda packs as like integrating with other products. And it's something that their community has done a great job of building these new packs. So the one that I was most excited to see is we use this project management tool called Linear, really popular with engineers. It's one of the fastest products you could use. It's like the antithesis of Jira. But one of these Coda devs decided to build a pack that syncs data between Coda and Linear 2 ways. And I thought that was a really clever way to integrate other apps into Coda to have that single source of truth, but be able to update the data, not just in one place, but actually sync them bidirectionally into every app that you use. So that was that's something that I think is quite popular. There aren't as many packs as there can be, but they've built actually quite a few of them, and they're pretty valuable.
Very nice. Okay, so Brian, tell us a little bit about Tango.us. What do y'all do, and what kind of uses are you seeing it being put to?
Yeah, so kind of like I mentioned before, Tango saves teams a ton of time creating documentation, and it is really, really low effort to capture what you're doing. All you have to do is hit capture, perform a process, and out comes this beautiful step-by-step how-to guide with screenshots. And so we've seen a ton of usage in operations teams, customer success teams, basically any team that needs to capture a process and share it out with the rest of their team. So Tango's been spreading like wildfire within teams, and we actually just broke 100,000 users just a few weeks ago.
Congratulations.
After being live just for, I think, around maybe 8 months. So
congratulations, man. You hit a home run.
Thank you.
All right. So how does somebody get started with Tango?
Yeah, so Tango's free. All you have to do is go to tango.us and download our free Chrome extension, and you can get started right away.
Nice. And do you see this mainly used by big companies, small companies, individuals, everything?
Honestly, one of the things that's tricky for us is that it has so many use cases. It is so helpful to all types of individuals and organizations. Basically, anytime you need to show someone how to do a process, Tango is the easiest way. You can avoid having to take screenshots, manually format all of your documentation. It's just become an incredible tool to just capture what you know and share it immediately.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I can already see some applications coming up in my head to just, help my mom figure this stuff out on the first round without having to be online with it the whole time. But also, yeah, I can see lots and lots of uses for that. And I did go play around with Tango quite a bit before we started talking today. And it looks like, I mean, this is just a godsend and an answer to prayer for a lot of people. It just makes the whole process a lot easier. So well done.
Thank you.
Brian, tell me this. Tango.us, I'm a business owner. Why would I want to use Tango.us?
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about the time savings. That's super important. You'll be able to ramp up your new hires much, much faster. They can be productive much quicker and already start to make an impact. I think that is a gigantic benefit of Tango. But I think also at its core, just from like an institutional, like tribal knowledge standpoint, when folks leave companies, they take their knowledge with them, right? Currently, documentation sucks. No one likes doing it. And so the goal of Tango is to bring back all the top performers and all of the best in class examples that they've learned throughout the years, and make it not only frictionless, but a little bit of fun to incentivize them to capture what they know and share it out with the rest of the team. And so I think that's a huge intangible that has cascading effects on the rest of the organization in terms of the knowledge that is kept amongst teams.
Nice. Have you ever heard of the book, The E-Myth Revisited?
I haven't.
Okay. So this is a classic book for small business owners and entrepreneurs. It's basically about having these checklists, these systems in place for your company. So the idea is that anybody can make a better burger than McDonald's can, but almost nobody can make 1 million burgers very consistently like McDonald's can.
Totally.
So with small businesses, you want to be able to replicate the same thing over and over again. It sounds like Tango is perfect for being able to make those kinds of checklists, systems, and quickly getting those in place for your company.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really great way of articulating it.
All right. Also, I used to be a public school teacher here in Texas. And I was the technology coordinator for our campus, which means, somebody's, laptop wasn't behaving the way it wanted to. Instead of calling in the tech guys from central office, they called me from down the hall. And so I'm dealing with a lot of older teachers who are not so familiar with technology. And, I can't tell you how many times I walk them through the exact same process 15 times. And I would make these, if I couldn't get over there, I would send them an email with a point by point, here's how to do this. I think Tango would have saved me so much time.
Education is actually a huge use case for Tango. We actually provide schools and nonprofits a discount on our premium plans. Lots of teachers use Tango just because, like, kind of in this wave of COVID, teachers really became IT support for their students. And Tango's been really great at showing folks in a visual way how to set up their tools, how to access their quizzes or complete their assignments. And so that's something that has been really, really helpful throughout the last few years.
Dude, okay, you totally got my teacher brain going here now. I'm thinking of all the times I was explaining to students how to get on and, check their grades or look up certain pieces of information or put together a report using these 3 resources. Tango would have saved me so much time on that.
Totally. Yeah. And honestly, like there are so many tools that are out there that aren't super intuitive and require just a little bit of training. And that's where Tango is absolute magic. Just showing someone visually how to go through a process can turn a frustrating 20 minutes into a delightful, frictionless 30 seconds. So
nice. So tell me about some common challenges that your customers run into and workarounds or fixes that you've got for them.
Yeah. So when it comes to Tango, I would say that everyone struggles with documentation. It just takes so effing long. I don't know if that's going to be
yeah, that's fine.
edited out. But yeah, I mean, there are some customers that when we were piloting with them, what would take them 40 hours all of a sudden took them 4. And this was with our like very first MVP product. Now I would imagine that it would take them maybe 2 hours. It just is the easiest tool to really, really quickly capture what you know and allow you to focus on the intellectual piece of describing how to do processes rather than having to take screenshots manually, format them, and upload them into a knowledge base.
So massive time saver and time equals money. So you're doing both at once.
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic. So Brian, Tango.us, you said you've got more projects upcoming. This is just kind of the first iteration. What are some new ideas that you're thinking about now?
Yeah. So right now, Tango's more of a single player product. We built it with a lean mindset. Let's get it out. Let's iterate. Let's get feedback. And so far, we've just had an avalanche of requests to make Tango a collaborative team product. Obviously, like no kidding, like no one's creating how-to guides and workflows for themselves, right? It's always for others. And so obviously folks would want to collaborate. And so for the last couple of months, that's what we've been working on. So probably by the time this interview's out, we'll have launched our workspace product where teams can collaborate and have a shared workspace for all of their Tangos to share with the rest of their team. Wow.
Fantastic. Brian Shultz with Tango.us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Cool. It's great to be on.
This has been Cody Blair with NoCodeList.co. Remember to like and subscribe to that video so we can get you the latest and greatest information. And you'll be the first to know if you're on YouTube there. And please be sure to head on over to NoCodeList.co and you can find out more information about all of these products there. Again, Brian Shultz, thank you so much. That's all for today.
NoCodeList.